What's up, guys? Welcome to another tutorial. This one is because I had a lot of questions about how to create a digital escape room. I'm going to give you a simple tutorial and then a more lengthy, in-depth tutorial, more advanced techniques. So I'll share with you first the simpler techniques that I found just to get you started, and then I'll elaborate further on some more technical tips and things that I think are more advanced that people that are experienced with using Google Classroom, Google Slides, Google Forms might be interested in. So first, I think we can just get started by showing you a digital escape room that I created for one of our class sessions. In my class, I teach 7th grade, and one of the stories that we read that actually appears in our book is All Summer in a Day by Ray Bradbury. It's a science fiction short story. Students are very interested in it. It's kind of about bullying, so there's a couple routes we can take with it. It has a lot of great figurative language in it, and I just like to use it in my class. So I created a digital escape room because the story itself warrants a digital escape room, or just an escape room, because the main character, Margot, gets locked in the closet by one of her classmates, and it stops her from being able to see the sun on Venus, which only comes out 1 hour every 7 years. So because of bullying, this student impacted Margot because she wasn't able to see the sun that she had been waiting for and longing for this long period of time. So I give my students 60 minutes, it's 1 hour, as you can see by the timer, where they can go through the clues in the closet and try to let Margot out of the closet before time runs out or before the sun goes down. So they're actually being her savior and letting her out of the closet if they can solve the clues in time. So it makes for a good review, and it's also a fun activity to help them get a little more interested in the story and understand, maybe how Margot feels inside this closet. It's very claustrophobic sort of feeling to be inside of a closet, I'm sure. So I just found this janitorial sort of maintenance closet, and I added a bunch of stuff to it, and it made for a really good escape room. So I'm just going to kind of go through that now and show you what it takes. So just very quickly, students, they look around, they try to find some clues. Obviously, if they look close enough, there will be things that they can click on, and it may take some time to find this, especially in the right order, because at the end they have to submit everything to a Google form. So you're going to need a little bit of experience using, number one, Google Slides, and number two, Google Forms. So I'm going to show you how to kind of merge the two together. Okay, so as they click on the clues, it takes them to a different tab in my escape room. I'm going to show you a little easier method because this is a more advanced method, but I'm just showing you what I did. And then to get back to the escape room, notice there's no way to navigate through the slides. Another advanced technique if you want to stick around for the advanced session. So they can either go back to their escape room, which is still open. Notice the timer is ticking down. Or they can simply click or press through a keystroke shortcut, Control-Shift-Tab. So Control-Shift-Tab just takes them back to the previous tab they were on. The other tab remains open in the background, so they can essentially open all their clues but still keep going back to the original escape room. And eventually they find more clues around the area. There are multiple clues here. I'm only going to click on a few, and then I'm going to show you how the form works. But it works the same way, and they read the clue, and then they keep clicking Control-Shift-Tab, and that takes them back. The timer keeps ticking down. It's pretty straightforward. Most of the clues that I built are within the Google Slides slide deck that we have over here. So this is our platform that we sort of created on, and I put everything inside of the slide presentation, so it's all sort of married together. in one place, so you don't get too confused. The only exception to that was that I added a clue in the form of a jigsaw puzzle from a really great website that I found called jigsawexplorer.com. So when they click on this little puzzle piece here, that actually takes them to another website sort of clue that they have to solve. It's a jigsaw puzzle that they have to put together. And once they solve this jigsaw puzzle, a message will come up at the bottom of the page that will give them a password. And that password is what they put into the form. If you look at the website, jigsawexplorer.com, it actually tells you specifically in detail how to use a jigsaw puzzle as an escape room puzzle. So there's no need for me to go through that with you now in this tutorial. I can go over it with you if you need me to. Obviously that opened in a new tab, so they would go back to their original tab, the escape room. So they're essentially closing these 3 tabs here, and I've specifically written in my share link, in my coding, a way to take the navigation bar away so they can't navigate through the slides to get to the clues faster. I've specifically taken that away, and I'll show you how to do that to make it look more like a web page. So that's my escape room, and remember, it's built on Google Slides, and the way that they get to the form at the end is they simply try to open the door. So when they open the door at the end, that's where a Google form will open up, and they have the option of putting in different answers. And only when they answer correctly will the next section open up to take them on so that they can successfully break Margot out. So we'll kind of go through that now. So this is the form, and remember we had those clues. So what I like to do, and I'll show you how to do this, but I ask for their name and I ask for their class period for a specific reason that I'll show you in just a second. But basically, if I put my name, this is my last name, and if I put the class period that I'm in, we'll just say I'm in that class period. And then I can go on to the next question. So what is the numerical answer to clue number 1? 1 number only. And clue number 1 says, in the story All Summer in a Day, how many hours does the sun stay out? So I know the answer to that, and it's required, obviously, but it only stays out for 1 hour. And if I click next, it will either give me an error message or it will take me to the next question. In this case, it took me to the next question, which says submit your answer for clue number 2 using a word answer, all capital letters. I know that the word answer from my clue is Margot, and I click next. But what if I don't get it right? What if I put instead the bully from the story's name is William? What if I put William? So it's still raining. Try again. Let's put Margot and see what happens. Okay, so it takes me to the next clue. Submit a numerical answer for this one, and I think this one was the one about how many years it's been raining on Venus, which is 7 years. And this one is about the figurative language that appears in the stories. Some of these are similes. They're comparing the sun, which is like a penny, and like a fire, using the word like or as obviously is a simile. And I have correctly answered that. But if I go back, I want to show you what happens if I have the wrong answer. I've set this one up to give me sort of a different error message. I'll show you how to do this as well. Sorry, try again. So I have to go back. And we get the right answer, which is next. I was correct. Great job. The puzzle is almost complete. Get it? So where do you think the next one is going to take me? I'm going to have to input that password that I got from the jigsaw puzzle. In this case, it was HOT. So I submit the answer there because Venus is essentially a very hot planet. And you can see that I have successfully released Margot from her closet prison. So I let her out of the closet before the sun went away. So we saved Margot. Lots of discussion could happen from this, as well as a lot of learning about the story. Students have to know what takes place within the story to break Margot out of the closet. So how do you do this? That's why you're here, right? How do you do all this? I will show you. I'm going to open up a new presentation and just kind of walk you through it. So let me just go to File, New, Presentation. Okay. So this one's just going to kind of be sample breakout room. Clean up my workspace, get rid of all that stuff. I can edit all this by sort of selecting it all. If I drag, it selects both text boxes. I can cut them and it takes them away, and then I can duplicate my slides. Or you can go to the layout view, go down to blank, either way, and then duplicate slides. You duplicate them so you have enough to work with. Now, you might not want to duplicate them just yet because you might decide on adding a background like I did that you want to be on all slides. So you may want to wait on the duplication. Right now, I'm just going to have 2 slides to work with. So the first one's going to be our breakout room. So what I like to do is I like to add a background image instead of just adding a regular image, because when you add a background image, students can't mess with it. They can't drag it, pull it around the page. And then you're going to add some foreground images as well that will give students the ability to kind of click around your background to find the clues. So first thing you need to do is add a background image. And you can do that many different ways. I would suggest Google image search, because you're going to get rid of any copyright infringement. You're not going to get images that you shouldn't be using. I have an image already set up for my background that I've kind of manipulated a little bit, so I will use that one. But just to show you, you can type in empty room background or something similar, and you get lots of different choices for breaking out. This one looks pretty scary if you wanted to add something like that. Okay, but just for my presentation, just to kind of copy what I just showed you with my breakout room, I'm going to choose an image that I already have on my computer. So you go to upload and browse if you have an image on your computer that you want to use. That will take you where you need to go to any folder that you might have, and I'm just going to use the closet background image that I manipulated a little bit to fit what I wanted it to do. Okay, so that brings up the background that I'm using, and you can make this a little bigger or smaller with your magnifying glass if you want to. It's up to you. Okay, and then you're just going to start adding elements around the room for your students to be able to click. One of the first elements that I added was a link to clue number 1 using this calendar with an image of the sun. So you're going to add your clues. So what I like to do is in my clues, I like to kind of give them a similar feel. So I add a background to those as well, just because it makes it look more complete. So I go to the Google image search, and maybe you type in rain. Choose image. Let's pick maybe this one. Okay, so there is a sort of similar rain, watery background. And then you can duplicate this slide to sort of mimic all of your other slides. And you can build from that. Just build your clues. I'm only going to put a few clues in this just to show you how to do it. So the next thing you need is linking your slides to your escape room so that your students are able to access their clues. So what I like to do is I just like to make this clickable. How you do that is you just add a shape. So I'm going to go to add shape, and I'm just going to drag it right here so that when they click it, it's accessible. Now it's going to cover it up, but you can manipulate your shapes by making them transparent with transparent lines. So now those are hidden. They're basically clear. But what that does when you add a shape is it also brings up a link button. So the way you link this is you're going to link them to slides in the presentation for right now. If you want to stick around for the tutorial that's more advanced, I'll show you how to link these outside of the presentation in a new tab so that it looks more like a website, and so that you can add a timer, because otherwise you can't add a timer with this. But right now we're just going to make this as easy as possible. So we're going to link to a slide within the presentation. So we're going to link to slide number 2. That's where our first clue is going to be, and we click apply. And what that does is it opens up this slide so that we can link the very first slide. So we're going to put our clue in here. So you add a text box. If you wanted to add a shape and then a text box to make it more clear, you can. But basically you just add a text box, clue number 1 equals A. Whatever your answer, whatever you want your answer to be is fine. You can make it numerical, you can make it one word, you can make it a letter like this. It just all depends upon what you want your answers to be. Okay, so that's the very first link, and we have it set and ready to go. So we're working on our escape room right now. So the next thing you want to do is you want to link something else. You want to be able to have as many clues as possible. So what if I want to add something that goes along with my theme that's not in the room? Well, that's where the image button comes in again. So I want to search the web with the image button. I just click, not the background button. This time I'm looking for a flower pot, but I want it to be a flower pot that I can put on the desk without taking away from the overall image. So I want to put transparent at the end of that so it doesn't have that ugly white background. And what that does is it's going to pull up an image of a flower pot that I can use that's not going to have a white background. And then I'm just going to adjust the size of that. If you drag it from the corner, it keeps the ratio the same. And I'm just going to make that small enough to be able to put on the desk right here. Okay, so now I have a flower pot that's on the desk, and I want to make that that picture clickable for a link. So when I click on it, notice that this new toolbar opens up, and I can click the link button again, and I want to link that now to slide number 3 because that is where my new clue is going to be. So for this one, I want to add a new text box, and I'm just going to put clue number 2 equals flower, something like that. So whatever it might be, you want to make it flower. Okay, so now that's clickable. And then one more clue, and then we'll add the lock. It's essential in a escape room that you have a lock mechanism, which serves as your Google forms for students to input answers, which unlocks the door. So for this one, I'm just going to put a link somewhere else. Just add another shape. So I'm just going to put it right here on this water bucket, this mop bucket. And remember, you go up here and you make it transparent, and you make the lines transparent, and then students won't be able to see it. But then you can link that, and remember, we want to link this one inside to slide number 4. There's that one. And then we want to apply that. So now we're linked to slide number 4, and the answer to slide number 4. Let's make it numerical, actually, so I can show you what that looks like. So clue number 3 equals 1. Okay? So that lets you know that you can input different answers. And again, you can do multiple choice. You can do lots of different things with this, depending upon how many answers you need or what you want to input. So when we go back to the main page, now we have quite a bit of links that we can use, but we need one more thing, which is the lock. Now you can add an image of yourself here. You can add an image of, like I said, with the girl. I just did another image search to input just a picture of the girl. I did an image search to insert an umbrella. There were multiple things that I put in here, but now I want to show you how to do the lock. So what you're going to do is the same way you added a link to the clue is this time you're going to add a link to a Google form. So you're going to want to open up a new tab, and this is very simple. You type forms.new, and that's going to allow you to open up a brand new form that is blank. It's an untitled form. From here, you're going to link the form by clicking send. That's going to open up a link. So when that opens up the link, you just copy it, and you're going to go back to your untitled presentation so far, and this time you're going to add a shape. So for the door, for example, or even doorknob, either way, when they click on the doorknob, that's going to allow them to input answers into the form. Remember, transparent, and then you have a link button where you can put the link that you just copied, and you're going to apply, and what happens is that Google form is going to open up in a new tab. Let's edit that Google form as we go, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. You want to make use of the clues that you used to enable students to unlock the door based upon what their answers are for the clues. So how you do that is, very first thing you want to do, obviously, is title it. You can put a description or instructions if you want to. Very first question, I would recommend, what is your name? And I'll show you why in just a minute. You want to make that short answer. You want to make it required. And then you want to add a new question. The next question that you want to answer is, what class period are you in? What that's going to do is it's going to allow you to have multiple choice answers for students to select one, add option 2, add option 3. So let's say you have 3 periods. If they're either in 1, 2, or 3, make that required. See, if you cancel that, it's not required, but if you turn it on, it is. So you want to toggle that button over to the required part. Okay, so this is multiple choice, and this is short answer. We're not worried about grading them, and we're not worried about the other things in the more menu. We don't want to worry about going to different sections or anything like that, because we're going to put one more question in this particular section, and that question is the answer to clue number 1. Okay, and we want to make that a short answer, and we want to make it required. This time, we do want to worry about this little 3-dot more menu, because now we want to start checking their answers, basically. And what that's called in this menu is response validation. So response validation means that we can tell the computer what to recognize in order to do something else. So in this case, it's not a number, but it was text, and the answer to clue number 1, if you remember, clue number 1 equals A. So we want to open up that blank form. Answer to clue number 1 has to contain A. Okay? And then you can add an error message in case they're wrong. You can say, oops, try again. Pretty simple, right? So that's basically our first step. And then you want to add a new section. Okay? So this is the first part, and then you're adding a new section. What that does is it opens up this text right here. After section 1, continue to next section. That allows your form to cover up everything after that first question, so it's not able to be seen by your students. Only when they get it correct and they input the data that you want will that open up. So the second section is clue number 2, and in this case you add a new question, and you can add images here, you can add lots of other stuff here, instructions or details, but basically the answer to clue number 2, and in this case it was a word, right? The word was water, I think. Let's go back and check. Clue number 2, no, flour. Okay, so clue number 2 was flour. So we want short answer text, we want it required, and we want response validation turned on. And we want to limit that to text, and it has to contain the word in all capital letters, flour. And if they don't get that correct, we want it to say, oops, try again, or whatever you want it to say. Then we add a new section, so the next question can open up. For this question, we want this to be clue number 3, and we want to add that question, which is the answer to clue number 3, which was a numerical answer number 1. So I want to show you this time it's still short answer, still required. We want a response validation turn on, and this time we do want to make it a number, and it has to be any of these values that you want, but it's going to need to be equal to, because otherwise it will open the form up maybe sooner than you want it to if you put less than or something like that. So we want it exactly the right number, equal to 1. And if they don't have that, it's going to say, oops, try again. So that's going to allow them another shot at getting this correct. Okay, so after that, you can make that the end of it if you want to, or you can add more clues. You know, this is just for beginners, so I'm going to leave this at that. But if you're interested in the multiple choice and you need to figure out how to link the different sections, I'll show you that in the advanced tutorial. So right now you want to leave this as it is, and you want to go to the settings tab, or settings gear up here, and you want to click on presentation. You want to collect email addresses, especially if you're in a school. You don't have to collect receipts. I want to restrict my users to my school, so that's basically what that means. But underneath presentation tab, you can have a progress bar if you want to. That's just going to be like some readouts. Show link to submit another response. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do any of these, and you definitely don't want to shuffle the question order because that would mess up the clues. But the confirmation message, that's your win right there. That is telling the student that they succeeded. So congrats, you did it. In my case, you let Margot out of the closet. Great. So when they get finished, that's the message they're going to see, and they know that they successfully exited the room. Okay, so we can go to save, and you have essentially your form completed and ready to go. And when you have that done, I wanted to tell you why I wanted you to put in the what's your name and the what class period are you in. So let's take this test. Let's do this form. But let's see if it works first of all. So I'm going to close this out. I'm going to go back to the sample, and you can change the name of that, sample escape room. And what I want to do is I want to see if it works. Okay, so the way we're going to see if it works is like this. But first I want you to add one more thing. You got to have a way to get back to your escape room. So in your escape room, you're going to add something else, and you're going to link the slides all back to the same slide. It can be a shape, it can be a picture. In this case, we can search the web for a raindrop. So here's a raindrop. Let's see if it works transparent wise. It does. So what I want to do is I want to add that over here at the end. What you're going to do is, for this, you are going to link this raindrop by using the link, and you're going to put it back up to slide 1. So slides and presentation, first slide, apply. And you can copy that, go to edit, copy, or Control C, Control V, and we're just going to paste that into every slide. Okay, so now we're linked and ready to go. What that means is when you open this up, you're going to be able to navigate through it. So we click present. First I'm going to show you how to just do it regularly in case this is where you want to stop and you don't need any more from the tutorial. But I'm going to give you one other hint before I leave in just a second. just to let you know how to turn it into kind of like a web page. But right now, let's click present. So what you have essentially is your escape room, and it has links that you can click on. It's got a few. Let's click on them and see what happens. So if I click on the first one, it's going to take me to the first clue. Clue number 1 equals A. To get back, you click the raindrop. Okay, let's keep looking. Where's my clue? Where's my clue? Where's my clue? Oh, I found one. Clue number 3 equals 1. So I have to keep a mental note of that or write it down somewhere. Okay, great. Where's my other stuff at? Let's see. Clue number 2 equals flower. Awesome. Okay, so is there anything else? Don't think so. Man, I've got all kinds of clues. Let's see if I can get out the door. Wonder what's going to happen. So it's going to open up your sample escape room form, and it's going to allow you to take the test. So you're going to say, what is your name? And you're going to say, my name is Bob, or whatever your name might be. What class period are you in? Oh, I'm in class 2. Great. The answer to clue number 1 is, I think that was, if I can remember correctly, it was A. I'm going to go to next. Hey, I got it right. It opened it up for me. Awesome. So the answer to clue number 2, I think that was sunshine. Oh, try again. I was wrong. So I have to go back. Or I just have to put in a new message. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put in flower, I think it was, all capital letters. I'm going to click next. Hey, I got it right. Awesome. It takes me to my next section. So what I want to do now is say, the answer to clue number 3, I think that was 1. And I have a submit button now, which is going to close my form out. It's going to tell me, hey, I did a good job. Good. So where does all this information go? Are we finished? For a student, yeah, you're finished. But if you're a teacher, you might want to access this information somehow. So you're going to go to your Google form. If I go back to my Google Drive, then my form that I created should live there. It is a sample escape room form that I'm going to open up, which I've edited. So what you can do is you can kind of tweak it to fit what you need for your classroom. So here, the questions tab, that's where we were able to edit it and add all the questions for our escape room. But there's another tab. It's called the responses tab, and we have a message here. It says 1. What that means is it has accepted 1 response from me, obviously, when I was testing it. But if you go to responses, notice that you have a button for sheets. This is really important because what it's going to do is it's going to open up a Google Sheet for you. It's also going to tell you any of your users that have included a response. It's going to tell you what answers they put for your response. It's going to time stamp it and everything. You can click an individual report. You can click on the questions and see what they were, or an overall summary. But if you click this button, it's going to give you a spreadsheet. You can select existing spreadsheet, or you can create a new one, and you can title it, which we're going to say Sample Escape Room. And what that's going to do when you create it, it's going to open this up in sheets. So what it's done, it's given me a printout, and it tells me what class period someone's in. But here's the difference. When I'm in my sample breakout room, which is going to be this form right here, I can put my name as, Sally. I can be in class period number 1, and I can answer the questions A, flower, 1. And look what happens to my sheet. Congratulations, I did it. But in my sheet, look at that. The next respondent, Sally, right here, Sally just answered your question, and your sheet updates automatically. And then I know it puts it out of order based upon the participants and the time in which they submit their responses. But if you go here, you can click on the little down menu button, and you can go sort A to Z. Look what happens. Puts it in order for you in the class period that you need, in order, so that you can grade this, or that you can see at least who submitted it. So that's basically how to create and utilize for your classroom an escape room. And you share this really easy. All you have to do is go to share, and it gives you a link, and you just copy the link and you paste it into your Google Classrooms, and it sends it out to all your students, either as an assignment, as a message, as a reminder. However you want to get the information out there in your Google Classroom, it does it for you. Now, there's a way that you can make it look a little more like a web page. It's really simple. When you copy this link and you put it over into your Google Classroom, it's going to do this. So once you do that, you're going to paste just like that. And see this word edit? Instead of edit, you're going to want to type Preview. And what that does is it opens your escape room to make it look more like a web page instead of a Google Slide document. So your students are a little more interested in it. Okay, so that is the simplified version of how I create a digital escape room. Hopefully, adding the clues and the locks and linking them to your slides presentation has helped you maybe understand it a little bit better, and stay tuned for the advanced version, in which I talk about more ways to get rid of the navigation toolbar at the bottom, how to keep a timer running in the background, and some other tools and tricks. And if you are interested in the All Summer in a Day escape room that I created, I will link a description to my paid teachers account so you can download it for free. And like I said, I hope you got something out of this and you keep coming back for more tutorials. Thanks for viewing this one.